Jerusalem, the vault beneath the western wall tunnels. The silence of the vault was absolute. No prayers reached this deep. Cardinal Ambrose moved through the stone corridor with a relic lantern in hand, its light casting shadows shaped like angels with broken wings. The others followed in silence, 3 men, 2 women, all of them marked with the symbol of the second veil, a red line drawn through an open eye. They were not clergy in the public sense. The world believed them to be archivists, scholars, keepers of dead languages. But their true charge was older, far darker. They were watchers. But calling them watchers is more likely a misnomer, because there were the watchers then and another group of watchers that came about their demise or forgiveness from God. It sort of depends on how you look at it, but for now it is simply safe to call them watchers. And they had failed. "She's awakened?" asked Brother Marek, voice tight with fear. Ambrose nodded. "The flame has touched her. The bloodline is real. The coin has chosen." Sister Miriam crossed herself, but without reverence, more like a ward against poison. "Then we must enact the binding protocol." "No," said Ambrose, stopping at the central seal, a disc of obsidian inlaid with gold filigree, depicting a lion-headed figure holding 2 torches. "We enact the Writ of Thorns." Marek paled. "But that hasn't been invoked since the Council of Anch." "This isn't just a relic stirring. This is a god waking," replied Ambrose exasperatingly. He placed his palm on the seal. It pulsed beneath his skin. "The age of Pisces is fragile. We've spent 2,000 years stabilizing it. The Nazarenes softened this world, even as his name was splintered. But Mithra?" He looked at them all. "Mithra does not come to shepherd. He comes to judge." "And the girl?" Miriam asked. Ambrose's voice was calm. "She is the spark. The altar. The gate. If we kill her, the flame dies." He turned to them. "Find her. Before the cult completes the second covenant." He looked up toward the roof, toward the stars they could not see, but which were aligning nonetheless. "And if it's too late?" He opened a steel case behind the seal. Inside lay a dagger carved from meteoric iron and a blackened crown made of twisted thorn and bone. "Then we crucify the god himself." Scene cut. Vatican subnet, encrypted call, transcript fragment. "Unknown, we have confirmed her presence in London. Ambrose, dispatch the custodians. Use the Gospels of Ash, no survivors, no relics left behind." "Unknown, what of the male? The one in Lisbon?" "Ambrose, he dreams of Mithra slaying the fish. That makes him worse than her. Find him. Take him as an offering to the sickle moon goddess. Before he starts remembering what he was made for. The flame that does not die, a secret history of the Templars. They were forged in fire, at the foot of the Temple Mount, under banners soaked with zeal and prophecy. The poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, whom the world would call the Templars, began not as all nobles, but as ascetics with swords. Men who swore poverty, chastity, and obedience, yet moved like kings upon the earth. Within 3 decades of their founding, they held lands across Europe, commanded fortresses from Portugal to Jerusalem, and moved more coin than kings dared count. But they were never fools. From the very first crusade, whispers dogged their heels. Why did they settle under the ruins of Solomon's temple? What did they seek in those subterranean passages? Why were they exempt from local laws, confessing only to the Pope himself? The Church had created a monster it could not leash. The omen of fire and ash. In the early 1200s, long before Philip IV of France turned his wolfish gaze toward Templar coffers, the Order's scholars had already noticed the omens. Letters from abbots in Burgundy carried strange tones. Monks once loyal now refused Templar protection. The Vatican demanded audits not of gold, but of manuscripts. What the Church feared was not wealth, it was knowledge. The Templars had changed. No longer mere warriors, the order had become a brotherhood of thinkers, translators, and seekers. In Antioch, they preserved ancient Greek texts the Church deemed heretical. In Toledo, they learned from Jewish mystics and Arab astronomers. In Baghdad, before the Mongol fires, they studied with Sufi philosophers. Some had begun to speak of God not in Latin, but in symbols, stars, and silence. This quiet intellectual evolution, which began as early as the 1180s, culminated in what some chroniclers now call the Inner Reformation. The Milites Christi, Soldiers of Christ, became the Philosophie Milites, Soldiers of Wisdom. The Contingency Scrolls. The Templars knew their days were numbered, but when? By 1290 AD, whispers reached the Grand Master's chambers in Paris. The papacy, now more political than divine, feared the Templars not as enemies, but as rivals. Philip the Fair, desperate for coin and control, had already begun planting rumors of heresy and idolatry. He had no proof, so he invented it. But the Templars were ready. For 100 years, they had prepared contingency scenarios. Grand Master Guillaume de Beaujeu had codified these as early as 1270 AD. Known only to the inner circle, the Arch plans detailed responses to excommunication, arrest, mass execution, and total dissolution. Templar treasures were quietly moved to outposts in Scotland, Switzerland, and above all, Portugal. Why Portugal? Because Portugal was Templar. The port of the Grail. The kingdom that would not kneel. In Portugal, King Dinis I ruled not only with papal blessing, but with Templar blood in his veins. His great-grandfather had been a Templar knight. His inner court included men who owed their titles to the order. When the Church issued its edict in 1312 AD disbanding the Templars, Portugal refused to comply. Instead, they renamed the order. The Knights of Christ, under the Portuguese crown, absorbed the Templar properties, rituals, and archives, but not their name. The Pope looked the other way, unwilling to ignite a new war on Iberian soil. Here, in the vineyards and stone fortresses of Tomar, the Templars lived on, not as zealots, but as stewards of hidden knowledge. From zeal to logos? By 1350 AD they had solidified their stance, but a century before their supposed demise, the Portuguese Templars had begun rewriting themselves. They moved away from the rigid dogma of militant Christianity. They embraced Hermeticism, Neoplatonism, and ancient Persian cosmology. They preserved fragments of Mithraic rites, Kabbalistic texts, and teachings of the Magi. They began to see Christ not only as a savior, but as one iteration of the solar logos, an eternal truth that had appeared across civilizations. Their motto changed from non nobis, Domini, not to us, O Lord, to a phrase found in a Zoroastrian scroll preserved in Tamar. That which is veiled shall again walk in daylight. This, of course, is a verse paraphrased in the New Testament in Luke chapter 12 verse 2-3. Everything that is hidden will be shown. They no longer sought Holy Land. They sought holy memory. The Watchers. The Templars' greatest discovery came not from scripture, but from war. In the 15th century, long after their formal exile, the Templar philosophers, now scattered across Europe under many names, began to chart the timing of great human conflicts: the Albigensian Crusade, the Reconquista, the Mongol incursions, the fall of Constantinople, and the Black Death. The patterns were too precise. Wars would erupt just as new spiritual movements began to form. Great mystics would die in obscurity while tyrants found unearned favor. Manuscripts that challenged orthodoxy would vanish days before publication. Prophets would be born, and then erased. They began to speak of a force, not divine, not demonic, but manipulative. They called them the Watchers. Not angels. Not demons. Something older. A network, unseen, embedded in kingdoms, empires, religious orders. Their goal was equilibrium through suppression. To ensure no one power, no one truth, no one awakening could ever disrupt the managed flow of history. The Templars saw the Watchers not as adversaries of the Church, but as its puppet masters. And they vowed, "Where they watch, we shall remember." And now, the nascent Privy Council meets again. The time has come. A woman, Dr. Ava Nazari, has begun to remember things lost. Her bloodline speaks truths encrypted in centuries of myth and empire. The Watchers move to silence her. But the Templars are ready once more. For they never truly died. They simply waited. In the hills of Tomar, beneath old stones and older oaths, the fire that once lit the Temple of Solomon still burns. The ancient Templar order, long perceived as a collection of fragmented, esoteric brotherhoods pursuing spiritual enlightenment, was on the cusp of an unprecedented transformation. While many commanderies remained steeped in ritual and soul-searching, 5 Grand Masters, each a titan in their own right, recognized the shifting tides of global power. They saw that faith alone could not combat the insidious, technologically driven threats of the 21st century. Their audacious solution, the nascent Privy Council, a covert military and intelligence organization, leveraging modern technology to safeguard humanity. The visionaries, 5 Grand Masters reshaping destiny. These were the 5 who dared to forge a new path for the Templars. Grand Master Elias Thorne of the Order of the Crimson Star, a reclusive genius and former lead architect at a pioneering quantum computing firm, Thorne had quietly amassed a fortune and unparalleled expertise in secure digital infrastructure. His personal triumph was the development of the Chrononet, a theoretically unhackable global communication grid, which became the backbone of the Council's operations. Grand Master Isolde Vance of the Golden Rose Conclave, once a celebrated UN Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, Vance possessed an extraordinary network of influence across global institutions and philanthropic organizations. Her Golden Rose Conclave had always focused on quiet, impactful diplomacy. Her crowning achievement was orchestrating a discreet, multi-billion-dollar fund for global disaster preparedness, entirely off the public record. Grand Master Kalen Dubois of the Iron Cross Sentinels, a decorated Special Forces general who had led covert operations in some of the world's most dangerous zones, Dubois brought a ruthless pragmatism and a deep understanding of modern warfare. His Iron Cross Sentinels had secretly maintained their martial prowess, disguised as historical preservation societies. Dubois's strategic brilliance was credited with dismantling a major international arms trafficking ring through a series of surgical, untraceable strikes. Grand Master Serafina Meadows of the Sapphire Veil Brotherhood, a brilliant cryptographer and former head of a top-secret government signals intelligence unit, Meadows was a master of information warfare and predictive analytics. Her Sapphire Veil Brotherhood had long been guardians of forgotten knowledge, now recontextualized for the digital age. She pioneered Pattern Breaker, an AI that could detect and neutralize sophisticated cyber threats before they materialized. Grand Master Theron Stone of the Obsidian Hand, the most enigmatic of the 5, Stone had served for decades at the highest, most shadowed echelons of a powerful nation's intelligence apparatus, specializing in psychological operations and deep cover infiltration. His Obsidian Hand was whispered to have eyes and ears everywhere. Stone's greatest achievement was orchestrating the peaceful resolution of a simmering geopolitical crisis by subtly shifting public opinion and key decision-makers through targeted, untraceable influence campaigns. Driven by the realization that fragmented efforts were futile, these 5 Grand Masters pooled their vast resources and unparalleled expertise. They understood that the future of humanity depended not on ancient prophecies, but on cutting-edge technology, strategic foresight, and decisive, covert action. The antiquated notion of the Templar as a religious order gave way to a new paradigm, a global, technologically advanced, and highly effective shadow force. The operational core, the 7 pillars of the Privy Council. To execute their ambitious vision, the Grand Masters handpicked 7 extraordinary individuals, each a master of modern technology and strategy, to form the operational heart of the nascent Privy Council. Sir Julian Thorne, Chief of Cyber Operations, a prodigious ethical hacker and AI specialist, Julian, Grand Master Elias Thorne's protégé, architects the Council's offensive and defensive cyber capabilities, ensuring their digital footprint remains untraceable while penetrating the most secure networks. Dame Anya Sharma, Director of Global Threat Intelligence, a former lead analyst for a multinational intelligence firm, Anya possesses an uncanny ability to synthesize vast streams of data, from satellite imagery to social media trends, identifying emergent threats and providing critical foresight. Sir Rhys Callan, head of autonomous systems and robotics, a brilliant aerospace engineer and former military drone program manager, Rhys designs, deploys, and commands the Council's fleet of advanced autonomous vehicles, from stealth reconnaissance drones to precision strike platforms. Dame Valerus Vance, chief financial strategist with a background in decentralized finance and international asset management, Valerus navigates the complex world of global capital, managing the Council's vast, untraceable resources and disrupting enemy financial networks. Sir Kenjio Hiroshi, lead predictive modeler, a world-renowned data scientist specializing in complex systems and human behavior, Kenjio develops sophisticated algorithms that predict geopolitical instabilities, market fluctuations, and societal unrest, guiding the Council's proactive interventions. Dame Celeste Dubois, commander of covert field operations, a former elite special forces operative with expertise in urban warfare and advanced surveillance, Celeste leads the Council's most sensitive on-the-ground missions, ensuring precision and deniability. Sir Marcus Stone, Director of Digital Influence and Counter-Disinformation, a master of modern communication and psychological warfare, Marcus crafts and executes sophisticated digital campaigns to shape narratives, counter misinformation, and subtly influence key decision-makers globally. Operating from a hidden, state-of-the-art command center, these 7, under the direct guidance of the Grand Masters, represent the cutting edge of Templar evolution. They are the silent guardians, welding technology as their sword and data as their shield, protecting a world that remains largely unaware of their existence. In an ancient stone chamber beneath the Convento de Cristo in Tomar, electronic candles flicker in wrought iron holders, putting an image of ancient vibe. A round table carved with Latin inscriptions bears 5 sigils, each representing a Templar commandery. The air is heavy with tension. This is the first meeting of the newly formed nascent Privy Council, a desperate measure in desperate times. An ancient stone chamber, breathing centuries of secrets, lay hidden beneath the venerable Convento de Cristo in Tomar. Flickering candlelight from wrought iron holders danced across a heavy, round table. Carved deep into its dark wood were 5 intricate Latin sigils, each representing a Templar commandery. The air was thick, not just with the scent of aged stone and beeswax, but with palpable tension. This was the inaugural assembly of the nascent Privy Council, a desperate measure born from increasingly desperate times. The 7 members, the operational core of the revitalized Templars, were gathered. Sir Julian Thorne, his fingers flying across a holographic display projecting real-time network anomalies, began with a clipped report. The tremors within the Catholic Church are no longer just rumors. The old structures are cracking, and it's a direct consequence of Leontis' latest moves. Dame Anya Sharma, her sharp eyes scanning projected data streams from global intelligence feeds, added, "The Dark Pope, or the Hidden Pope as his followers call him. A ghost in the Vatican's machine, pulling strings for decades, no. Centuries even, maybe even from the very start of this iteration of Christianity, ensuring his chosen few ascend to power. His influence is deeper than previously calculated, bleeding into financial and political spheres beyond the traditional church structure. His recent machinations have rattled the very foundations," Dame Valerus Vance stated, her voice calm but firm, as she adjusted the projections of global economic indicators that showed subtle, inexplicable shifts tied to Vatican assets. The quiet disarray, the sudden shifts in cardinal appointments, it's all his doing. But this time, his hand is showing too clearly. It's affecting more than just doctrine. The catalyst, Ray, Iran, and Ava Nazari. Sir Rhys Callan, his hands resting on a tactical tablet displaying drone telemetry and satellite imagery, brought up the chilling incident in Ray, Iran. The implosion. A single, isolated building. No explosion, no fire. Just a perfect, contained collapse inwards. Forensics are baffled. But our intel points to more than a structural failure. Our thermal scans detected a unique energy signature, consistent with something else. It was a message, Sir Marcus Stone concluded, his gaze piercing, as he pulled up psychological profiles and communication intercepts. A demonstration of capabilities. And its direct target was Ava Nazari. The name hung in the air, a nexus of converging threats. The Church has marked her, Dame Celeste Dubois confirmed, her voice low and precise, indicating the target on a tactical map that highlighted potential extraction routes. Viewing her as a rogue element, a heretic, a threat to their carefully constructed new doctrine. They want her neutralized, discreetly. However, Sir Kenjiro Hiroshi interjected, bringing up complex behavioral prediction models that showed a second, distinct threat vector converging on Nazari. Our analysis indicates another, even more insidious faction is involved. We've known about them for centuries, always operating in the deep shadows, but their recent activity has spiked significantly. The Watchers, Dame Anya clarified, her voice tinged with cold contempt. Embedded deep within the Church, so clandestine that even Leontes is likely unaware of their full extent. They want Ava Nazari dead, for reasons unknown, but they move with a swift, brutal efficiency that chills us to the bone. Their methods are far more advanced than traditional assassination. The ray implosion points to a new level of destructive capability. Activation. The Templars go to war. For too long, the Templar Order had been content with esoteric paths and soul enlightenment. While many commanderies still clung to these ancient ways, the 7 members of this newly formed council understood that contemplation alone was insufficient. The escalating crises, the blatant defiance of ancient laws by Leontes, the insidious reach of the Watchers, and the direct threats to key individuals like Ava Nazari had pushed them to a decisive point. The time for quiet observation is over, Sir Reese declared, his hand instinctively tightening on his tablet. Our predictive models show continued escalation. Prayers won't stop implosions or silent assassinations. We have the technology, the training, and the intelligence to act. The old methods are insufficient, Sir Julian affirmed, his gaze sweeping across his fellow council members. We have the means. We have intelligence. We have the resolve. The Grand Masters entrusted us with this. It's time to show them why. This is why we were organized by the 5 Grandmasters. All 3 key objectives have been achieved or at least available. But what are the 3 objectives? 1. Information gathering and influence. Historically, the Templars operated in the shadows, subtly steering intellectual currents. During the Enlightenment, they played a crucial role in smuggling ancient texts that the Church had banned across Europe. This hidden knowledge sparked human curiosity and fueled the pursuit of truth, which in turn enabled their second objective. 2. Organization and knowledge dissemination. The recipients of this clandestine knowledge were primarily skill-based guilds throughout Europe, as well as influential merchant families. From these interactions stemmed the legends and stories woven into the fabric of these guilds, often imbued with a hint of mystery influenced by the Roman Mithraic cult. Groups like the Cathars, the Masons, now the highly successful Freemasons, and numerous other fraternities that modeled themselves after Freemasonry all trace their lineage back to this dissemination of information. 3. Communication is the keystone. Modern dissemination via the information superhighway. With the advent of the Internet, communication has become paramount. Unlike the communication challenges of the past, today's information superhighway allows for the rapid sending of information, online meetings, organization, and the creation of new groups with unprecedented ease. This dramatically enhances the Templars' ability to disseminate information and organize. The world is full of numbers. To the Freemasons, they will see the numbers all too familiar in these events, which brought some of their members to join the Templars. The situation is just perfect and regular. With a shared, grim nod, the 7, the operational core of the nascent Privy Council, reached a silent, unshakable consensus. The choice was made. The Templar Order, for centuries merely a philosophical echo, was now a fully activated, armed military force, wielding modern weapons and cutting-edge technology. The era of passive observation was over. The era of decisive, calculated intervention had just begun. The final words of activation hung in the air, resonating with the ancient stone, yet vibrating with a new, urgent frequency. The era of decisive, calculated intervention had just begun. Now, the question was how. Sir Julian Thorne tapped a control on his console, and the holographic projections at the table shifted. Our immediate priorities are Ava Nazari and Elias. Both are high-value targets, and both represent unique operational challenges. He brought up a detailed topological map of Oxford, highlighting Ava's last known coordinates. Ms. Nazari is still in Oxford, UK, operating under the assumption she's merely a controversial academic. That's a vulnerability. The Church's neutralization protocols are institutional, designed for discreet disappearance or public discrediting, Dame Anya Sharma interjected, her fingers flying across her own interface, bringing up a web of known Vatican assets in Western Europe. They'll use their influence, their ecclesiastical networks, perhaps even a controlled accident. But the Watchers, their ray implosion confirms a kinetic, non-traditional threat. They're not just interested in silencing her, they seem intent on demonstrating overwhelming, inexplicable force. Which means direct protection isn't enough, we need countermeasures for unknown variables, Sir Rhys Calen stated, bringing up schematics of counter-surveillance drones and deployable kinetic barriers. A team needs to be on site, discreetly, within the next 6 hours. I can have a Raven-class unit airborne from our Portuguese depot within the hour, equipped with advanced detection and non-lethal interdiction. They can establish an unseen perimeter. Dame Celeste Dubois leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the Oxford map. A physical team will be in place. My operatives are already mobilizing. We'll establish secure perimeters and extract points, and integrate with Rhys's drone support. The challenge isn't just getting her out, it's keeping her unseen. Both factions have deep reach. A digital ghost for her identity might buy us time. Precisely, Sir Julian affirmed, already coding. I'm generating a dynamic digital profile, a shell identity. We'll bleed enough data into public channels to create a convincing decoy, drawing attention away from her actual movements. Any attempts to track her through conventional means will be diverted. Dame Valerus Vance chimed in. Financially, we can starve their operational resources in the region. I'm initiating a series of disruptive market events targeting front companies tied to known Watcher financial structures. Small, untraceable hits that will cause enough chaos to slow their flow of capital and logistics for a critical window. She pulled up a complex diagram of shadowy offshore accounts. And for Elias, Dame Anya shifted the projection to Lisbon, a medical profile appearing alongside the city map. His situation is more complex. His activation manifests biologically. The Genu company is a potential leak point. We need to ascertain how much they know, and whether the Watchers or Lince agents have already infiltrated them. His unique biology poses a predictive challenge, Sir Kenjio Hiroshi mused, tapping at his interface, which now displayed complex genetic models. If his anomaly becomes public, he could become a global scientific or even religious obsession. We need to model the sociological and technological implications of his existence. What kind of attention would he draw, and how can we preemptively mitigate it? We need a covert team on Genu, and a direct approach to Elias himself, Dame Celeste decided, overriding a tactical overlay for Elias's location. Standard procedure: evaluate his current security posture, establish discreet surveillance, and prepare for immediate extraction if is compromised. We can leverage his existing contact, Lucia. She seems unaware of the full scope of his condition, but she is an entry point. Genu is another face of BioLexis who handles the front or marketing side. Sir Marcus Stone nodded, his focus already on potential narrative control. Should any aspect of Elias's condition leak, or should Ava's situation force public exposure, we need a robust counter-narrative ready. We'll be crafting plausible deniability, misdirection, and digital noise to obscure the truth. We control the story, or they will. The air remained heavy, but the tension had shifted from apprehension to intense, focused determination. The Council, a new breed of Templars, was no longer just discussing threats. They were actively weaving the first threads of their counteroffensive, using their modern tools to navigate a hidden war. Their targets were clear. Their resolve, unbreakable. The era of decisive intervention had truly begun. Sir Julian Thorne tapped a control on his console, and the holographic projections at the table shifted from global network anomalies to detailed topological maps. Initial protective perimeters are being established for Ava Nazari in Oxford and Elias in Lisbon. Rhys's drone units are en route to both locations, and Celeste's ground teams are pre-positioning. We're rolling out digital ghost profiles and financial disruptions as discussed. Good. Speed is paramount, Dame Valerus Vance affirmed, her gaze sharp as she reviewed projected financial flows. The Dark Pope's influence inside the church is extensive, but predictable. His resources are tied to centuries of institutional wealth and influence. The Watchers are different. Their financial footprint is almost non-existent, hinting at assets beyond conventional markets. Dame Anya Sharma's console chimed, a priority alert signaling a new intelligence package. She tapped a command, and a detailed field report materialized as a secondary holographic projection. Council, this just came in. From our West Bank cell. A hushed silence fell over the table. The Council knew of this unique cell. The modern Templar organization, having shed its exclusively Roman Catholic origins, now embraced all religions predating Islam. Unbeknownst to most, one of their most deeply embedded assets was a lineage of Christian Palestinians. They were a people whose Christian faith predated even the Roman Catholic Church, having existed as crypto-Christians for centuries under various occupations, now openly practicing. Their roots were in the ancient land, their knowledge passed down through generations. It's from Ilara, their cell leader, Anya announced, her brows furrowing as she skimmed the report, the words painting a grim picture. Her assessment is urgent. She has direct eyes on Watcher agents operating in the region. She confirms their extreme clandestine nature, not just within the Catholic Church, but far, far beyond. Their origins, she states, are ancient, predating all known religions, even the Vedic faiths. Ilara's lineage holds specific, ancient knowledge of them. A quiet intensity settled over the chamber. This was new information, chilling in its implications. Ilara's report emphasizes a critical strategic redirection. Anya continued, her voice grave. She believes the Watchers are the paramount threat. Linz and his Dark Pope machinations, while disruptive, are merely a symptom, or perhaps even a pawn, in a much older, deeper game. She argues we need to keep our sights far more on the Watchers than on the Dark Pope. Sir Julian whistled softly, a rare sound from him. An organization older than the Vedas? That explains the ray implosion tech. Something truly beyond conventional science. Our threat models just broke. It fundamentally redefines our threat matrix, Sir Kenjio Hiroshi stated, his predictive models already adjusting, showing vastly different outcomes and indicating a higher probability of existential risk. If they predate organized religion, their motives are likely outside of our current understanding of faith-based power struggles. Their objective could be fundamental. World-altering, not just power-shifting. Then our initial focus on Linz, while necessary, was perhaps a critical miscalculation, Dame Celeste Du Bois mused, her gaze now distant, considering the broader, darker implications. Protecting Ava and Elias becomes even more critical. They are not just targets of religious factions, they are caught between entities operating on an entirely different scale. We must assume the Watchers possess capabilities far beyond what we've anticipated. Sir Rhys Calen clenched his jaw. Tactics adapt. If the Watchers are that ancient, their methods will be subtle, pervasive, and potentially beyond our current technological countermeasures. We need to prioritize intel from Ilara's cell. Immediately. Every resource should be funneled into understanding them. Sir Marcus Stone nodded slowly. And our public narratives must shift. We can't expose ancient, pre-Vedic entities. We'll have to weave a far more complex web of misdirection, focusing on geopolitical instability or rogue science, to cover our true objective, understanding and countering the Watchers. The Council had been activated to face a clear and present danger. Now, a deeper, far more ancient terror had been revealed, forcing them to re-evaluate everything. With grim determination, the 7 pillars of the Privy Council reached a silent, unanimous decision. While protecting Ava Nazari and Elias remained paramount, all future operations and intelligence gathering would proceed with extreme caution regarding the Watchers, recognizing them as the primary and most insidious threat to humanity, no civilization. Jerusalem, Israel, the West Bank Cell, guardians of ancient faith. This 5-person team forms a crucial intelligence and operational cell within the Templars' renewed structure, deeply embedded in the complex human and historical landscape of the West Bank. Their lineage, Christian Palestinians with roots tracing back to early Jewish converts to Christianity, provides them with unparalleled historical insight and discrete local connections, making them invaluable in the hunt for the Watchers. 1. Ilara Yaqub, cell leader, historian and strategist. Age: 42. Background: Ilara is the direct descendant of a lineage that secretly preserved ancient Judeo-Christian texts and practices for centuries, living as crypto-Christians under various rulers. Her family has quietly maintained properties and influence in Bethlehem for generations, often posing as academics or cultural preservationists. She holds a doctorate in ancient Near Eastern studies from a European university. Role: the strategic and intellectual leader of the cell. Ilara's unparalleled knowledge of regional history, forgotten languages, and ancient belief systems allows her to decipher Watcher movements and motives that others would miss. She leverages her academic facade for deep cover infiltration and maintaining high-level contacts, while her family's ancient network provides secure safe houses and discreet information channels. Personality: calm, intellectually formidable, and fiercely protective of her heritage and the true purpose of the Templars. She possesses a quiet authority and an uncanny ability to connect historical patterns to present-day threats. 2. Elias Bishra, cyber and surveillance specialist. Age: 36. Background: Elias's family were renowned artisans in Jerusalem for centuries, secretly maintaining ancient water systems and underground passages. He leveraged this inherited understanding of hidden infrastructure into a career in network security and ethical hacking for a major telecommunications firm in Ramallah. He is a distant cousin to Ilara. Role: the cell's digital backbone. Elias designs and manages their encrypted communication systems, conducts advanced digital reconnaissance, and specializes in monitoring and disrupting the Watcher's nascent cyber footprints. His intimate knowledge of local digital and physical infrastructure allows him to establish unseen surveillance networks. Personality: introverted, highly intelligent, and meticulously detail-oriented. He prefers the quiet hum of servers to direct confrontation but is fiercely loyal and surprisingly resourceful when the mission demands it. 3. Sami Nasser, field operative, local liaison. Age: 31. Background: Sami hails from a small village near Hebron, his family known for their olive groves and traditional stone masonry. They have deep, intergenerational ties to both Christian and Muslim communities, allowing Sami to move freely and gather information without suspicion. He served briefly in a local security force, giving him practical skills. Role: the cell's primary field operative and local liaison. Sami excels at discreet surveillance, establishing secure meeting points, arranging untraceable transport, and leveraging his extensive network of contacts, from farmers to shopkeepers, to gather ground-level intelligence. He is proficient in close-quarters combat and urban evasion. Personality: charismatic and seemingly jovial, with a disarming smile, but possessing an underlying steeliness. He is exceptionally adaptable and uses his quick wit to navigate complex social situations and deflect suspicion. 4. Miriam Haddad, logistics and covert support. Age: 28. Background: Miriam's family has run a small, unassuming guesthouse in Beit Jala for generations, a common stopping point for pilgrims. This seemingly mundane business has long served as a discreet hub for passing information and providing temporary sanctuary. Miriam herself is a gifted mechanic and has a knack for sourcing unusual items. Role: the team's logistical and technical support. Miriam manages their equipment, ensures vehicles are prepped for any scenario, and can quickly adapt technology or infrastructure for mission needs. She's adept at setting up temporary command posts and surveillance points, often utilizing her guesthouse as a cover for sensitive meetings or equipment transfers. Personality: practical, resourceful, and calm under pressure. She's often the quiet observer, but her solutions are always innovative and effective, ensuring the team has what they need when they need it. 5. Daniel Cooey, covert medic community analyst. Age: 29. Background: Daniel's family has a long tradition of healing, serving as community doctors and herbalists in East Jerusalem. He completed his medical training abroad but returned to work in local clinics and refugee camps, giving him access to diverse populations and a keen understanding of public health patterns, anxieties, and subtle social shifts. Role: the team's covert medic and community analyst. He provides essential medical support in the field, but more importantly, he uses his access to discern subtle shifts in community health, unusual illnesses, or widespread rumors that might indicate Watcher activity or influence. He can operate under the guise of providing humanitarian aid or routine medical checkups. Personality: empathetic and observant, with a gentle demeanor that belies a sharp analytical mind. He is deeply committed to alleviating suffering, which often aligns with his Templar duties, and possesses a quiet resilience. The muted glow of a single, battery-powered lamp cast long shadows across the walls of the ancient cistern, now repurposed as the West Bank Cell's secure command center. The air, cool and damp, hummed faintly with the low thrum of server racks and communications equipment. Ilara Yaqub, the cell leader, stood before a holographic map of Jerusalem, her expression a mix of concern and deep unease. The initial reports from the council are clear. Ilara began, her voice steady. Ava Nazari and Elias are top priority. We're to provide any and all intelligence on Watcher movements within our sector that might pertain to them. Elias Bishara, hunched over a cluster of screens, his fingers flying across a custom keyboard, nodded. Their digital footprint is like smoke. Designed for complete deniability. I'm hitting every known Watcher-linked server, but they're using dead drops and ephemeral data packets that vanish within seconds. Which brings us to the recent anomaly, Sami Nasa added, his eyes, accustomed to scanning the streets, now focused on a projected surveillance photo. It showed a nondescript white delivery van, emblazoned with a generic Citilink Express logo, parked near a well-known Watcher safe house in East Jerusalem. This delivery service, Citilink. It's one of their suspected fronts. Seemingly mundane, unremarkable movements across the city. But this particular delivery, Joseph Cooey chimed in, adjusting a pair of night vision goggles hanging around his neck. Our street team spotted it entering the King David's Gate area. The address was confirmed as the residence of Malachi. Malachi, the Watcher elder. Not by blood, but by succession, continuing the chilling legacy of his predecessors. Ilara's gaze sharpened. Malachi. Known to our ancestors. His lineage, by oath, has always taken control of the Jerusalem sector for the Watchers. They are the keepers of the old secrets here. Here's where it gets interesting, Elias Bishra continued, turning slightly from his screens. After seeing the delivery van at Malachi's abode, I gained backdoor access to Citilink's central order database. It took some doing. Their encryption is surprisingly robust for a delivery service. But I finally got in. And guess what? He paused for dramatic effect, then brought up a screen displaying a blank order log. No trace. Absolutely no trip ticket, no delivery manifest, no digital breadcrumbs leading to Malachi's address, or even that specific sector, for the entire day. It's as if that delivery never happened. Miriam Haddad, who had been quietly preparing a secure comms pack, looked up, a knowing glint in her eye. So, a standard delivery route, a known Watcher front, a high-value Watcher target, and zero digital record. They're moving physical packages, but pretending they are digital. It gave me a knot in my gut, Sami admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. I saw the driver. Just a kid, mid-20s, looked bored out of his mind. But the way he glanced around before entering, it was too practiced for a simple package drop-off. He wasn't just delivering a parcel, he was delivering a message. Daniel Cooey, who had been studying the behavioral patterns linked to Watcher activity, nodded slowly. This confirms our hypothesis. Even with all their advanced tech, with all their ancient origins, their deepest, most sensitive communications, they still rely on human vectors. Face-to-face. Untraceable. Analog. Ilara's gaze swept across her team. This is crucial. It means even our most advanced cyber reconnaissance won't catch everything. They're hedging their bets. They rely on the unseen and the unlogged. Malachi received something important, something only he needed to know directly. This wasn't a package, it was information that couldn't touch the net. Then our focus shifts, Elias said, already inputting new parameters into his surveillance algorithms. Less on breaking their firewalls, more on breaking their physical chains of command. We need to identify these human conduits, these delivery drivers who carry the unlogged messages. An unexpected counterforce, the Mithras cult. And another element, Daniel spoke up, pulling up a secondary data overlay on the main map, showing subtle energy fluctuations around certain religious sites. Our community intel, combined with some pattern recognition I've been running on old prophecies and current events, it seems the Persians are making their move. Sami frowned. Persians? You mean the Iranian Muslims here? They're usually quiet. On the surface, yes, Ilara clarified, her voice dropping. But deep within the Palestinian Muslim communities here, particularly in the older quarters of Jerusalem and Nablus, there are families, lineages, who, for centuries, have maintained their true identity. They are not Muslims. They are the remnants of the ancient Mithraic cult. Secretive. Elias whistled softly. The very cult Ava Nazari is tied to? The ones with the flame-born activation? Precisely, Ilara confirmed. And their recent movements, while subtle, appear to be directly counteracting those of the Watchers. They're disrupting Watcher logistics, cutting off communication lines we hadn't even identified, even orchestrating accidents that seem to hit Watcher assets specifically. So, they are our allies? Joseph asked, a hint of hope in his voice. Ilara paused, then shook her head slowly. A potential ally, yes. But one we cannot be complacent with. The Mithras cult operates with its own agenda, and its loyalties are to something far older than any Templar oath. We see their objectives aligning with ours for now, protecting Ava and Elias, and thwarting the Watchers. But we remain in the shadows. We observe, we analyze, and we leverage, but we do not reveal ourselves. It gets even more convoluted, Daniel added, pointing to nodes on the map representing various Christian churches. Our initial analysis showed Watcher agents embedded within both the Roman Catholic and Orthodox churches. But now, it's clear, these same churches also harbor double agents for the Mithras cult. They're playing a dangerous game of hidden loyalties. Names, Ilara demanded. Who are these clerics? Elias brought up profiles with quiet clicks. For the Watchers within the church, Father Demetrius Volkov, a prominent figure in the Russian Orthodox Church in Jerusalem, known for his austere devotion and deep ties to ancient monasteries. And for the Roman Catholic side, Monsignor Alaric Thorn, a seemingly unassuming but highly influential curator within the Vatican's secret archives, with known ties to the Council of the Second Veil. And for the Mithras cult's agents, protecting Ava and Elias from within the church's ranks, Daniel continued, on the Orthodox side, we have Father Nikolai Petrov, a younger, progressive Greek Orthodox priest known for his outreach work, but with family ties to a very old, clandestine theological society. And for the Roman Catholic Church, Cardinal Matteo Rossi, a seemingly devout and highly respected cardinal known for his peacemaking efforts and surprising openness to ancient wisdom, who has subtly steered Vatican resources towards protecting key historical figures. Ilara nodded grimly. A three-sided war, fought in the shadows of Jerusalem's holy sites, with double agents in every confession. This changes everything. We need to exploit these counter-movements, but always, always remain unseen. The Watchers are our primary target, but the Mithras cult is a force we must understand before we rely on them. Our vigilance must extend to every corner. We must uphold what the Master has entrusted our families throughout the years. For over 2 millennia we have kept them. Our Lord Jesus has warned us of the gods of this world. We must not be taken in by the divas. They continue to fool the world, making good into evil and evil into good. We must continue to keep the veil, for he said to those who are without the kingdom we give them parables and stories, but to those who have the kingdom we give them the secrets, the knowledge, understanding and having them acquire wisdom. Hokmah, Bina, Dat. The air in the cistern crackled with renewed, even more complex purpose. Recycled religion, what most of the masses know is not the truth but a rehash of an older system, only to give the present form their authority of the subject matter, hence the knowledge that is hidden, is simply to perpetuate their rule over the masses. Author's note. Every story that we hear is an allegory, there are always hidden meanings woven into them. The symbols of religions like the crucifix have even an older meaning, even the original Templar cross which dates back to the Mesopotamian gods, it illustrates an older system.